Remember Karl Popper?
What was that? I forget.
Popper, he says there is science and pseudoscience. And Popper says that basically, if you really want to be scientific, if you really want to try to find the truth, you need to always try to falsify your own theories. So try to find reasons that do not stick. So he compared the philosophy of Freud, or basically the scientific way that Freud chose, where basically it was Freud was always looking for affirmation, for confirmation of his own theories. So he could always find some kind of data to support his own theories that he called pseudoscience. But Einstein, on the other hand, he made his theories of relativity, and his theories were forecasting the future, and he completely put all his theories on the line, and he says, okay, well, I'm going to try and see whether, according to my theories, we should observe this in the future, and if we do not observe this, in this case it was a solar eclipse and diffusion of light, if we do not observe this, my theory does not hold true, so we should reject it. He said that is real science. That's really finding the truth in falsification. So basically, we are always trying to find the truth by falsifying, by falsifying our own beliefs. If we are trying to falsify our own beliefs, we can get closer to the truth.
So Popper's way is
it's very strict.
very strict and deep.
This is what we learn first year in university.
Strict and deep.
Yes,
Deep.
yeah. Right.
But still, I don't understand where Freud and why Einstein, they try to pick those couple people.
Well, basically, very simple, because Popper was a student of both.
Oh, student of both?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's the difference among those Poppers?
Oh, completely different. Obviously, one is a professor in physics, and the other is a psychologist.
Well, why just two person for example to compare with Popper?
Well, basically, he just looked at the method that they were following. They were both scientists, but the method they used to do science, to perform their science, was so radically different. So he went out to define how we should practice science.
Okay, again, could you explain me about more a little bit simplified way of Popper? What his message?
His message is that
I'm simply understanding Popper is more type of the deep and seeking to the how to chasing the fact.
right. So get closer to the truth. If we really want to get closer to the truth, we should not try to affirm, should not try to find evidence for what we believe to be true.
But my question is, Freud they didn't, or Einstein they didn't?
Einstein, they didn't.
They didn't.
They did. Einstein was looking for proof that his theory was not true. So Freud was looking for evidence to support his theory. To say, okay, see, because
looking for evidence.
right. So
Einstein is he just what he did?
he was trying to find evidence to prove that his theory was wrong.
Freud. It's Freud.
Einstein.
Einstein.
Einstein was looking for proof that his theory was not true.
Oh, not true.
Right.
How about Freud?
Freud was looking for evidence to support his theory.
Oh, Einstein is.
So he was looking for negative. Einstein was looking for negative proof. So how can I disprove? How can I disqualify my theory? So the premise that what Popper is suggesting is that if, as scientists, we should always try to break down our theories, because if we can break down our theories, then we get closer to the truth. Because if we can prove that our theory is wrong, I think that was an example about swan. Basically, you observe one swan, two swans, 10 swans, and they're all white. So you conclude that based on your experience, swans are white. But basically, if you want to do that, then basically you should look for the black swan. And once you find the black swan, you have to change your theory that swan are white. No,
Popper.
yeah, according to Popper's way. But what Freud was doing, he says swan are white. See, there is a white swan. See, there is another white swan. Swan are white.
Mm.
But Einstein was constantly looking for swan that were not white. So that's basically it is a very fundamental truth. In the video also it said it's so simple, but actually this is very fundamental.
Why Popper is famous for teaching students?
Because basically every student who goes to grad school, who is supposed to be a scientist or actually become a scientist, should understand the principles, the fundamental basics of how to perform science. And Popper's way of performing science is the generally accepted way of engaging in scientific reasoning. So the scientific approach of Popper is generally agreed way of doing science in Europe. Right. So the other way, the Freudian way, is more what maybe a politician would do, find support for his theories.
Okay, I remember.
Okay.